Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Justice was served. Justice was served. And what I mean by that is the Flyers beat Buffalo the other night and had no business winning. Carter Hart came up big. He had 38 saves. Well, in this game, the Flyers should have won. There was no reason the Bruins snuck out of there with 2 points. The first 40 minutes, all Flyers. They had so many great chances, but Tuukka Rask found ways to eat up everything. There were no juicy rebounds. It was smooth. He just collected it into the breadbasket, went into the butterfly, and then there would be a face-off. He was clean, solid, poised, catching everything. He saw all the pucks, all the shots on net. He trapped them perfectly. Not Carter Hart. I wish I was going to say Carter Hart. But Tuukka Rask was on another level. He was sensational. And realistically, the Flyers should have won this game, but when you look at the score sheet afterwards, you saw special teams being a factor, and you saw the top dogs of the Boston Bruins being a factor. And heading into this game, I pointed out players you needed to watch for, and it was Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, and Brad Marchand. And when you look at the stat sheet afterwards, they all recorded points. And also, you look at the special teams. The Bruins scored on the power play. The Flyers had plenty of power play opportunities. Now, there were times where on those power plays, they were moving the puck around. It actually looked good. They had good scoring chances, but Tuukka Rask found ways to keep the puck out of the net, and that's not necessarily on the Flyers because the power play looked good. I just feel like this is an example of what it's going to be like in the playoffs. And sometimes, no matter if you're supposed to win or not, no matter if you compete harder or not, you should come out with the win. And in the playoffs, when it's a 7-game series, afterwards, it doesn't matter who was supposed to win. It only matters who won that game. So just put it in a playoff perspective. The Flyers will be down 1-0 in the series. It doesn't say, well, the Flyers should have won, but the Flyers are down 1-0 in the series. No, it is what it is. The series would be 1-0 Boston. I feel like the Flyers need to find ways to come out with this win. Now, this is a regular season game, so I'm not going to cry about it. They just won 9 games in a row. I'm not just crushed and devastated that they lost to the best team in the NHL, all right? It's totally understandable. I think this could be a teaching moment, though, down the road. Hey, listen, Provorov, that goal, or that almost goal in the third period, that needs to go in the back of the net. You got to find a way to put that in there. Hey, Travis Konecny, early in the first period, Jakub Voracek throws you a sauce backdoor. You got to get it over the glove of Tuukka Rask, because in that moment, now it's 1-0, and it's early in the game, and the Flyers take the lead. You saw how impactful getting the lead was in this game. As soon as the Bruins scored at the end of the second period, because they ended up having that power play, they controlled the third because they had the lead, they played with the lead, they got the red line, they got it deep, they played a good defensive game, and they took their chances offensively when they could, but once they got the lead, they played a different style of hockey. They were collective, they were calm, they made the right play, they made the simple play, and they were able to execute their game plan once they took that 1-0 lead until, who was it, David Krejci threw a puck on net, or was it, who scored that second one? Was it Krejci or was it Bergeron? It was Bergeron. Pasta was all over the ice, though, man. He was double shifting at times. In the second period, you saw him out with a totally different line. They were using him all game long in so many different ways. He went out with Krejci, Corrali. He went out with everybody. He was just playing every single chance that he could, and that was an adjustment made by the Bruins throughout the game to maybe get him open, to get him out there when the Flyers had different players out there, and he only ended up scoring on the power play. He did have a really good chance backdoor on Carter Hart, where Carter Hart went post to post and pinned the puck by the netting, which was a really great save by Carter Hart. See, the thing is with Carter Hart tonight is, I didn't think he played bad. He allowed 2 goals. One of them was a power play goal, and the other one was this weird fluky goal entering the zone. But I didn't think he played his best game either. Now, he stopped the puck from going in the net. Ultimately, that's their job, right? That's his job. But when he did stop the puck, rebounds or a puck goes far pad and it goes right back into the slot, it wasn't like Tuukka Rask, for example. You watch Tuukka, and he cleaned up everything. There were no second chance opportunities. You watch Carter Hart play against the Buffalo Sabres. That was dominating. Carter Hart, he only allowed 2 goals. I'm not going to crucify the man. He did a great job, but I didn't think it was his strongest game. That's all. It wasn't his strongest game. So there's more to talk about when it comes to this tilt, but before we do, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. If you are looking for free money when going to a sporting event or a concert, I can give you free money. Use the promo code BROADS for $20 off of your total purchase. That's free parking, it's free beer, it's a no-brainer. Promo code BROADS, SeatGeek's checkout page. Use it today. So Shane Gostisbehere was in the mix, and that's because Philip Myers is out 4 weeks with a fractured patella. And when you saw him block that shot last game, you saw him kind of get back to the bench slow, and it looked bad. I didn't expect it to be this bad, but Shane Gostisbehere did a really good job for not playing in how many days? Over 20? And he gets thrown into the mix against the Boston Bruins at home, knowing that this fan base is somewhat fed up with what he has brought to the table over the last couple seasons. Good for Shane Gostisbehere. There was one play that stood out to me. It was on the power play. The Flyers rimmed it around. Grant let it go. He made it seem like he was going to get the puck, and maybe that's why the miscommunication was there. But Gostisbehere wasn't up by the blue line in time. The puck went out of the zone. They had to regroup and go back in. That was the only time I thought that he was just, other than that, I thought he was pretty damn solid. He drew penalties. He's flopping around on the ice, giving his full effort. He had one where it was a standard Shane Gostisbehere type play where he's shifty with his feet and he's got the puck on his stick and he's making people miss. Speaking of that, Scott Laughton had a play at the blue line, in the defensive blue line in our own zone, and he's pulling toeies. Now, it worked, but whoa, dude, you're pulling toe drags? And oh, by the way, Scott Laughton ended up having a third period high sticking call to go to the box to just add it to the bad penalties that he has taken so far in the last 3 games or so. This was when it was a 2-0 game, very limited time left on the clock. Now, did the Flyers have a great chance of coming back? No, they did not. But still, you got a handful of minutes left. You're down 2. The last thing you want to be doing is taking a penalty. And here comes Scott Laughton getting a high sticking call. He's just been so lazy with this stick lately. I don't understand. But going back to Shane Gostisbehere, I thought he was really strong in this game. And, it leaves me intrigued. If he can play that way, well, he absolutely can be on the ice. He absolutely can compete and be out there. He's got to build off of that confidence because he had the injury and he's been going through the mental side of the game as well. We know what he did his rookie year. He hasn't lived up to that hype. And he wants to be out there. He wants to be able to do that. He wants to be able to deliver for this city. I know he does. I'm intrigued. Hopefully he got so healed up and he's almost essentially, I'm not going to go a full 100%, but with the injury, now that he had to sit so many games because the Flyers were winning, maybe he's more healed up than he would have been if he just got thrown into the mix prior. Now, the loss has nothing to do with him specifically, so just because he's back in the lineup and they lost, well, that means nothing to me. But going back to Tuukka Rask, I couldn't believe the saves he was making. In the second period, you had Kevin Hayes and Scott Laughton. They had three 2-on-1s, shorthanded, and they weren't able to capitalize on any of those. And the last time that had happened, they didn't score. Laughton probably should have took it. That one was more of a 2-on-0 than a 2-on-1, but a great back check by the Bruins, diving full speed, redirects the puck into the corner. The Bruins go down the other way, set up on the power play. Here comes Pasta getting across crease, or not cross crease, but cross ice feed by the top of the circles. He one-touches it back to Grzelcyk, who puts a bomb past Carter Hart. It just went straight through. There's no reason to be mad of the Flyers. It's disappointing because of the effort they gave. They gave such great effort that it should have resulted in a win. The first 40 minutes, it was pure domination, and it was fun to watch, but I even tweeted, this smells like a game where Tuukka Rask just takes over and steals it. You could tell by the way he was collecting the puck. You start throwing pucks on net early early first period, early in any period, and you see the goalies fighting it off and rebounds are there or kicking it to the corner and the pucks are loose. All right, keep throwing the pucks on net, but it was as if he was so locked in, he was so dialed in, nothing was getting past him. It was his birthday, too, by the way, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe there was a bad feeling in the Bruins' stomach based off of what happened last time they were in town. They had the lead. The Flyers came back. Brad Marchand ended up skating past the puck on the shootout in embarrassing fashion. So the Flyers won the game. Maybe they had this brutal taste in their mouth. I mentioned how they lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning the game before in a pretty brutal, grindy game. There were fights. People were pissed off. It was very physical. Maybe they were just so disgusted based off of that loss that they came in here with a totally different mindset, and specifically Tuukka Rask clearly showed that he did. He was prepared. He stole the game. Special teams and their top line producing. There wasn't too many scoring chances by Claude Giroux, by Sean Couturier. A couple here and there, but nothing crazy. I would have liked to see them maybe step up and have more chances. There was the first period one where it was Jakub Voracek backdoor to Travis Konecny. Scott Laughton was once backdoor on Tuukka Rask, but he wasn't able to put the puck in. It looked like a defender got in the way too, and the puck ended up going into the corner. There were chances, don't get me wrong, but by like the top dogs, not anything crazy offensively. And I would have liked to maybe see them stick out more in this game. It was sort of a quieter game for those guys. I noticed Derek Grant, who had a ton of shots on net from all different types of angles. Kevin Hayes had some tough turnovers, but he also had those PK spots as well where he joined the rush with Laughton. Nate Thompson stood out to me too, actually. For his role, for that fourth line role, he absolutely stood out to me. He was buzzing. He was mucking. He was going around in those corners. He was protecting the puck with his body. The thing I'm nervous about, though, is now going to Tampa Bay on Thursday. Tampa has the Flyers' number. You think Tuukka Rask is a phenomenal goaltender, which he is. So is Vasilevsky. And if you remember anything that happened earlier this season when these two teams matched up, Vasilevsky can steal games too. So I would hate to see the Flyers lose 2 games in a row after winning 9 straight. Now, I'm not panicking. I'm not so scared and so, I don't know, nervous about going into this game. I want to see them win, but you're going up against 2 teams that are legitimately at the top of the NHL for a reason. Show me heart. Show me you can play. Show me you can play with these top squads. Show me that this was no fluke and you guys really can turn it on and be a team that can give other teams living hell every night that you touch the ice. That's all. If you match that type of game that you play tonight, and Derek Grant even stated this post-game, you will win more times than you will lose. You will have better outcomes majority of the time. So just continue to play like this, and you will be fine. It will work out for itself as long as you play similar to the way that you played tonight. And Matt Niskanen, same thing. Effort. Fantastic. Happy with the effort. Would have loved the win. And Matt Niskanen, though, man, I'll tell you what. He is such a professional. He is the definition of an NHL professional. You hear this guy speak. You hear the way that he talks about the games and how 100% he is. He's not sugarcoating anything. He will tell you 100% how he feels. He will keep it real. And the way that he talks to the media is the way that he talks to the boys in the locker room as well. You can tell he brings off that vibe. If he thinks something's wrong, he will tell the media, the fans. He will tell the boys in the locker room. He's not afraid. He is a leader. And I'm so pumped that he is on the back end of this Flyers team because I'm watching Ivan Provorov out there. And it's all because of Matt Niskanen. It really is. Now, I'll give Ivan Provorov his props, but it really is all because of the security blanket of Matt Niskanen. A lot of texts and tweets after the game. So we're going to rock some texts, some tweets, and see what the people thought after this game. Now, you're going to get the overreactors, the 1 of 82 type of people that will cry and have tears of joy depending on the outcome each night. You watch that game, you got to be satisfied. The team won 9 straight and then competed harder than the Boston Bruins, but fell. All right, you tip your cap and you move on to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would feel worse if they looked ugly. I would feel worse if they came out flat. But they came out right on the money, getting some great scoring chances, but they weren't able to put it past Rask. The only thing that I really want them to take away from this, and maybe this was a good thing, maybe it humbles them a bit. Not that I thought that they weren't humble and they thought that they were just this dominating force that can never lose. No, I didn't expect them to have that type of mindset. But maybe this is like a blessing in disguise. So if they meet again, it's all right, I remember last time. Compared to, we beat you every time. Who cares? We beat you every time. Maybe there's a blessing in disguise based off of the way they enter a potential playoff series against this team. Hey, let's go back to work, fellas. One of those. Let's go back to work. We got work to do. And you look at the standings. Penguins win. The Capitals lost to the Buffalo Sabres in a shootout last night. The thing is, with the way the Flyers won, though, the way they've been winning, they're in a comfortable spot. It's not as bad as it was, say, a month or two ago, where when you lost, you had to look at Columbus, you had to look at Carolina, you had to look at the Florida Panthers, and you were out of the playoffs one day, you were in the next day, but another team had a game in hand, and things were flip-flopping every single night. You don't have the biggest lead in the world. It's not an insane amount of comfort, but there's comfort there. You can lose a game against the Bruins and be okay. You can lose a game here and there and be okay. As long as you play this way and gain more points throughout, you're going to be all right. And when you look at the remaining schedule, you got some home games, you got some beatable teams, although the stretch coming up is pretty tough. I'm looking more as at the entire schedule totally. You do have a tough stretch coming up of Tampa. You got Minnesota. You got the St. Louis Blues. You got the Dallas Stars. You got some good teams, playoff teams. But when I stated a decent schedule, I meant when you look at what they have at home for the remainder of the season totally. And I think that they are in a good position. They just have to take care of business. It's not going to be easy, but they can totally do it as long as they work their asses off like they did against Boston. So let's get to a couple texts here. Well, we'll start with the tweets, actually. At Jeff Mosher, NFL. Played hard. Outplayed the Bruins for the first 2 periods. Rask stood on his head and Laughton messed up a breakaway that killed their best chance to go up in the game. Shit happens, just a loss. And I totally agree with that mindset. I'm hurt, I'm bothered just because of the way that they went out there and fought and grinded and battled. The result should have been in the Flyers' favor. But date it back to Buffalo. They had no business of beating the Buffalo Sabres. So you flip-flop that effort with this effort, and it all works out. The hockey gods make it work out to the right way. So it is what it is, and you just move on to the next game. Now, Cody has an interesting take. They simply just got outplayed all game. Every time the Flyers had some sort of offensive momentum, the Bruins swarmed the puck and took it away every time. By the third period, the Flyers just looked defeated. You win some, you lose some. We just got outplayed. But I responded to him and said, with all due respect, Cody, they did not get outplayed all game long. They dominated the first 40 minutes. Now, the last 20, I will give it to Boston. I thought Boston was strong. I thought they played comfortable. They had the lead. They knew how to handle having the lead, and they just did their job. They simplified the game, and they forced the Flyers to play a tougher game offensively. Like, they couldn't get going offensively. They made it tough for the Flyers to get into the zone. They beefed up the neutral zone. They beefed up the D zone. And that's why you saw the Flyers have less scoring opportunities later in the game. And Cody responded with, you're right. All game wasn't the right way to put it. It was very back and forth for a while, but the Bruins were just able to capitalize on their opportunities. I think the Bruins were the better team in the game, but the Flyers really gave it all for the first two periods. I still think that is wrong. That's my opinion. I believe the Flyers did a better job than the Bruins when you look at the game in its entirety. Sean, I think Rask just beat the Flyers, LOL. Yeah, he did. He did beat the Flyers. You watched a goaltender do what Carter Hart did to the Buffalo Sabres. Now you're on the other end of it. It sucks. I hate it. I hate this feeling. It shouldn't be that way. Why is it this way? Well, sometimes the puck luck just doesn't go in favor of the team you like. For example, and this was late, the goalie was pulled, 2-goal lead for the Bruins, but Claude Giroux is on the side of the net. He does this wicked pass back behind the net. It hits off the back wall and goes to Jakub Voracek on the other side. Very interesting pass, and it finds a way to hit the far post. Nothing was going the Flyers' way. Ivan Provorov with that opportunity. All he had to do was lift it past Tuukka Rask's leg. He extended the leg, but you gotta lift it right over. I mean, the chance is right there, but he wasn't able to. The puck luck not on the Flyers' side. The Flyers didn't execute. Stop being nice. They didn't deserve the win because they didn't execute their chances. See, to me, that is a flawed mindset. That's not true. Because you can play a better game than the opponent by a mile and still lose. It's very possible. It happens every night in the NHL. It is almost a consistent theme. Goaltenders steal games all the time. The best goaltenders do. Vasilevsky, Tuukka Rask, Braden Holtby, Carter Hart. It happens all the time. So it's not the Flyers' fault they didn't win. Do I think they should have beefed up in certain situations? Sure. But it's not their fault. Sometimes it's just the way the game goes. Just would have been nice for it to have been 10 straight games. 10 straight games and beating the Boston Bruins? Come on, imagine that. You know the high that we've been on as a city because of this team. Imagine hearing 10 straight victories and beating the Boston Bruins. That would have been electric. Sports Talk Radio would have been electric tomorrow. And it still will be because I think everyone will appreciate their effort. No one's walking away from this game legitimately not satisfied with the way the Flyers played. You don't look at Alain Vigneault differently. You don't look at Carter Hart differently. You don't look at Matt Niskanen differently. You don't look at any of these players in a negative way after that game. You say, shake it off. It's 1 of 82. You showed me that you can play with the top teams in this league. All right, let's go. Go to work. Go to work in the next night on Thursday and do what you need to do. You said it perfectly, bros. Hart stole the game versus Buffalo. Rask stole the game versus us tonight. The Flyers are a great team, but they are not ready to make a deep run. I'd say they're a few years away, but I feel like we're always saying that. To me, and that's at Chasen Stanley. Now, those are two different tweets. You said it perfectly, bros, was at C Milligan 5. The not ready to make a deep run tweet, I don't like that mindset. That is a typical overreaction tweet to the moment. You're upset. You didn't like the outcome. That doesn't mean the Flyers are now doomed, not worthy of competing in the playoffs, and a bad hockey team. And I feel like that's the typical Flyers tweet, Flyers Twitter, Flyers disgusted fan after every game. Oh, typical Flyers team whenever they lose, right? But that's not the case. This is a different team. If you watch the way that all played out, I don't know how you can have the thought process of, same old team, they don't have enough. Look at the record against the Bruins this season. The Flyers did more damage. So what does that say? If you're going to base it off of this game, why don't we base it off of the season against the Boston Bruins? Why not? Isn't that the fair way to do it? Well, the Flyers are toe-to-toe with that team. They found ways to beat them. Remember they went into Boston and won? Remember they came back and beat them at home last game? Why do they not get talked about? Just because they lost this game? I don't think that's fair. And I can't roll with that. That's all. I can't roll with that. Impressive work ethic. Clean some things up. And it is what it is. It'll be interesting, though. Now you watch Thursday night with a different mindset. You got to get out there and win. Looking at the schedule, you saw Bruins, you saw Tampa. What did you think personally? I know I thought, get one of two. One of two, I don't care which one of two, get one of two. And I will be okay with that. You're not going to win every game. You're at one point going to lose. That will happen. You win 9 straight games. You go up against 2 of the best teams in the Atlantic. I can't demand 2 victories. I can't. Win one of 2. And you know what? Even if they lose to Tampa, but it looked like this, I'd be hurt by it, but I wouldn't be discouraged by it. And that's 2 totally different things. I'd be upset about it. I want them to gain these points. I want them to prove the league wrong. I want them to prove that they are legit. They can really do some damage. But if they play that way 2 games in a row and the outcome isn't what it should be, I'm not discouraged. Sometimes it just happens that way. And that was how it played out. So with that being said, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.